The once and future king, Grandview, won its second consecutive national championship yesterday. We have something that resembles breaking news on the coaching front in the NAIA. And you know what? Maybe tonight, if Vince shows up, we're going to find out if he got another tattoo to correspond with Grandview's third national title in football. All that and more here on College Football This Week. Welcome on in. Proper introductions here in just a moment. In the meantime, although we were just a little bit late getting here, Vince will be on in a few moments. Cory, James, Doug, all with me right now. And guys, the championship game is now in the books. Grandview, Kaiser, the rematch. It was a lot closer than 2024. The result, however, was still the same. Grandview comes away as national champions, back-to-back national titles for the Vikings. Cory, let's hear from you first. Overview on the game as a whole, and you were talking about something that was in the comments section. You're agreeing with someone in the community.
Yeah, so that second half, especially in the fourth quarter, number one, I'm still waiting for someone to score on that other end zone. But the rushing attack, especially in the fourth quarter, Dalton Van Pelt started to get free. And I don't know if it was just Kaiser's defense getting tired or if Grandview made some adjustments to how they were blocking it up. But Van Pelt started to really shake free in the second half in ways that he wasn't in the first half. Because I'm going to be honest, Grandview's rushing attack running through Jackson Waring just really did not work for the overwhelming majority of the game.
No, it absolutely did not. However, you have to give credit to Dalton Van Pelt for just maybe the very end of the first half. There was that one run, Cory, that one run at the end of the first half that may have made a little bit of noise.
Yeah, I mean, you get loose, and honestly, at that point, I attributed it mostly to Kaiser just falling asleep for just one play. They fell asleep for one play, and it was all over but the crying. But the changes that they made at halftime, I don't know whether they really made changes or whether it was, y'all know you need to block this better. But you saw Van Pelt start to shake loose and start to really catch 6, 7, 8 yards of carry.
Yeah. Doug, your take on overall on the you know what, James, we were trying to let that go past, but you just took advantage anyway. Doug, your take on the game.
Look, it was a great one. There's no doubt about it. You go back to that 87-yard run there by Van Pelt, came after a timeout to try to get the ball back because Kaiser was going with the wind. And you talked about no team scoring, nothing going on down that end of it, I thought, which made it ironic that the final heave of the game went into that end zone. But it was just, some spirited teams that were battling. It was great to be out there and to see the enthusiasm from the crowd that was in there. Folks loved being in Fort Worth for this game, I really believe. But you look at they just got to Shea Spencer all night, that Grandview defense. And we talked about the Grandview defense and what they were going to be able to do. They just hammered him over and over. It seemed like towards the tail end of the game that Shea was picking himself up off of the ground a lot more in that game. I loved the fact that it ended with the heave after the wise decision to go ahead and get the field goal and then come back with the onside kick. And it had folks puzzled on the Kaiser sideline where I had been standing most of the day because, they thought the clock would have ran out with it. But, of course, the kicking team not able to advance once it bobbled around and touched, gave them that last second and that opportunity. But I don't think you could have drawn up a better game than this because it was never in doubt. I mean, it was in doubt to the final play.
I'm sorry. Is Doug still trying to justify why Kaiser should have won yesterday?
Oh, gosh, here we go.
Did I miss something? Am I in the wrong show? What happened here? Is this?
I'm telling them what a great job Grandview did getting after everyone in there, and what a tremendous night that it was. And I go back to that timeout right before the half, Vince. Boy, that was if he had it to do over again, I don't think Coach Russ calls that one.
Yeah.
Now, Vince, we'll get to it in just a moment. We're very glad that you're here with us tonight. And I want to hear from James. The question at hand at the moment is overview of the game, the championship game in Grandview, of course, coming away with the win.
I thought overall the game was really what I expected it to be, which was one that's going to go down in the history books. I said it was going to go down to the wire. These teams, with all the senior leadership, this was going to be the game where you were going to look for the quarterbacks to make plays and no one make mistakes. Like that was going to be the biggest thing. Which, to the credit of both teams, not very many mistakes. No interceptions by Jackson Waring, none by Chase Spencer. Maybe one fumble off the top of my head, but I mean nothing that truly changed the entire outcome of the game. Yeah, as Doug mentioned, the end of the fourth quarter was a very interesting set of circumstances. 6 seconds left, down 9, kick the field goal, get the onside with somehow 1 second left, which they reviewed it. They said it's there, so whatever. Like I said, it would come down to the wire. I didn't expect it to come down to 1 second on the clock, but sure enough, that's what it was. Overall, though, let's give credit where credit's due. Grandview showed up. They new head coach. I mean, kind of in his DC last year, but new head coach comes in, and he get the job done and bring another trophy back to Des Moines.
You know, that putting that 1 second back on the clock was reminiscent to the kick six, and I was having Jordan Hare feelings there. It didn't work out for the Seahawks as well as it did for the Tigers a decade or so ago. James, just to let you know, or excuse me, Vince, I'm representing tonight.
I noticed that. I did a double take of which show I was in. That's impressive.
Representing tonight for Vince DeLisio with the Varsity Sports Show. And Vince, in the intro tonight, we want to find out as part of our broadcast tonight if in fact you got another tattoo to correspond for the Grandview's third national title, to see if it went with the other two. But your overall take on the game.
It took me 45 minutes to get through security today at DFW. So, we'll start there. Before that, though, the game itself, I got to say, it was very uneventful. It wasn't flashy on either side. You had that one big run that Van Pelt ripped off. And there were a couple of catches. The tight end got that 40-yard touchdown, run there later in the game. But outside of that, there wasn't a lot of flash on either side, which was what we were, I think, expecting, because you had the two best teams in the country going toe to toe. So it was definitely people got their money's worth with this game, because it wasn't decided until the very end of the game. So literally, because Kaiser still had a shot. I mean, with a couple seconds left, people are scratching their heads saying, why are they kicking a field goal with a couple seconds left? Well, because realistically, if there's one team that could squib it and get it and score with a couple seconds, it would have been Kaiser. So great game.
It really was. And to the point a couple of you all have made really quickly, there were no turnovers in this game. There was one fumble. I think Van Pelt is the one responsible for that one. He put it on the turf for just a bit, got it back, but it wasn't lost. And so there were no turnovers, no interceptions, anything like that. So a turnover-free game like that, really, I think that's a testament to the way these two teams came out and took care of business on their end. As a couple of the folks in the community have already mentioned, and by the way, shout out to Matt tonight, to Leo tonight, to Robert tonight, being a part of the community. If you watch the game, or if you're just part of the Midwest Sportsnet community, get in the chat tonight and let us know from where you're watching and who you cheered for. We'll talk about a whole lot more as the evening goes on. It's not going to be a long night tonight. I promised some of these folks who are road warriors like Cory and Vince, who made the trip out to God's country in this part of the country, that they could get some rest tonight if they would come on with me for a little bit more tonight. So I just and my take on that as well. I agree. It was a good game. It's one that's I think will be remembered because of the way that it was played and the way contested, and because of the way that Kaiser redeemed itself to an extent. Didn't ultimately get the ring, but they redeemed themselves from what happened on the field a year ago in the championship game. There was no question that Kaiser deserved to be there. Really, really appreciated the field goal attempt, which actually the successful field goal attempt at the end, to make the best use of the time. And I was standing by Vince on the sideline at this point in time and said, all right, right before the kick, I said, they have to have the perfect bounce to get this to go right. And field view of that kick, I mean, that could not have bounced any better. The onside kick was a thing of beauty, and Kaiser did a fantastic job. How a second got put back on there James, I don't know either, but it did, and it just extended the game that much more to make it something to talk about a little bit later on. All right, really, we'll go to our top 5 performances in a moment, but I wanted to hear from you guys, and I'll just take it a little bit different order this time. Doug, when you look at it, is there, overview of the game was great. Is there something about it that you say, okay, this is what I thought was the key to the game for Grandview, or that didn't work out as well for Kaiser?
It happened on, I guess maybe it was the second drive. I think that's the one it was. But you're going down there and they get the first down completion down inside the 1, but the pick play was called. Sets them back up, have to attempt the field goal. It gets blocked. And if they go in and get that touchdown in the first and it's 7-0 right there, man, it's completely different. And you hate to look at a game that changes on that early in the game. But let me tell you, if they because they marched right down the field, and if they get that thing in the end zone, but instead Grandview takes the momentum back, and man, it was it seemed like they were playing catch up from there.
That was a key point, and I don't think that was mentioned enough, at least in our conversation. That blocked field goal attempt, which ultimately it was a 6-point game, but if that one goes through and it's not a 2-possession game, and I realize that's a fallacy of logic, so please don't get after me on that. I understand there's a fallacy of logic. So many things could have gone differently if it's a different point spread, but just looking at it, if it's a 3-point, or excuse me, if it's a 6-point game and not a 9-point game at the end, there are a whole lot of different decisions that are being made. And Kaiser's field goal kicker was 3 for 4 on the day with just that one. So Cory Wood, however, for Grandview, 3 for 3 on the day.
And what's lost is before that was the penalty, and they had it first down and goal from inside the 1.
Yep, absolutely. James, did something stand out to you in particular?
In the game, I think the biggest thing was I'd picked Kaiser to win the game, but something I did not expect was the difficulty between Kaiser's center and Shea Spencer.
Yep.
I mean, there were at least 3-4 snaps where Shea is picking the ball off his shoelaces. And, I don't know if you know much about Grandview's defense, but they're sharks with blood in the water when they sense that ball is near the ground, and they just swarmed him. And there's one, I think he actually got one intentional grounding. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but he's just trying to do whatever he can to just keep the ball from going back 7-8 yards on just a simple snap. And I think that just killed the momentum in a game where Grandview's defense was so sharp. So, and again, I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know but it was very uncharacteristic. It was the biggest surprise of the game to me by far.
You talk about the evenness in this game, by the way. Total yards, I don't know, Grandview 350, Kaiser 337. Very, very even. Now, the way the teams got there was different. And, Cory, that to me is quite a statement because, obviously 2024, Grandview just ran up and down the field, and Jackson Waring by himself with those 203 yards. They still carried the ball pretty well, though. They were able to get the running game going. Was there a key along those lines for you?
Yeah, I mean, the Kaiser defense very much – you could tell who they were keying on. But I'm gonna definitely agree with James here. The 2 errant snaps from the center, and then the one snap where Shea was just not even looking for the ball to be snapped at all. It hits him center mass, but Shea is literally looking to the side when the ball hits him in the chest. And I don't think that's where you're intending to look when you're trying to get a snap, and those were in key moments. It's not ideal, and they were in such key moments that that first half felt like missed opportunities for Kaiser, and honestly, that third quarter did too at times. The fact that Kaiser couldn't get 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, scoring into that north end zone, I think was a key moment.
That's a big deal, and all the scoring pretty much took place down there. We talked about that prior to the game too. The wind would be a factor, and I was hearing, people said, hey, it's not that bad on the field. It was that bad on the field, especially with the punts, with the kicks, and anytime someone tried to throw the ball deep. And Vince, you mentioned this at the beginning. or someone else had mentioned, Vincent, you and I were talking about it. The second throw of the game was to Isaiah Toki, and it was just a little bit in front of him. And I think that Waring was trying to push it a little bit to get through that wind. So that, however, you didn't see a whole lot of just trying to hit the home run. You didn't get a lot of home run balls. There was a lot of just steady going up the middle and just trying to take care of business and pick up 3 yards and 7 yards and maybe 8 or 10 if you can. A lot of screen passes, and then try to just make something go from there. Vince, what was your key?
Well, for me, there were two. One offensively and several defensively that I'll just kind of count as one because it involved one player. Talking about the offense, so the game was pretty. I mean, you had the big run that got that was in the first half that Van Pelt busted, but they were trading scores more or less. I mean, it was pretty neck and neck until a couple of minutes into the fourth quarter, and then that touchdown, that 40-yard touchdown to the tight end, Cory Phillips, that was a turning point to me, because at that point, then Grandview built that lead and kind of secured that lead.
That was the game-winning score right there.
Yeah, right there. Now, defensively, and this was my vote for the defensive player of the game. Everybody, voted, looked at the stats. Jackson Filer, well-deserved, everything, had a great game. But it was Trudeau to me, Casey Trudeau, the defensive tackle, because I felt like he made more of an impact from his position, forcing double teams and knocking the heck out of Spencer to a point where Spencer had difficulty playing. I mean, it was not just evading defenders. This guy was hurting him, and I think that ultimately, and that's why he was my defensive player of the game, even though he was second in tackles. I felt like he had more of an impact on Kaiser's offense in the game.
Now, Trudeau with 1.5 tackles for loss. He had the only sack, by the way, registered the only sack. But you're right. Spencer was on his back a lot, and that okay.
But he was physically hurt as a result of getting run into by Trudeau several times. So,
but I would say the Vikings never let up the pressure. And I'm not going to say that they were hits that were not legal hits. I'm just going to say they never let up. And even when Spencer threw the ball, they got that extra half step and made sure he paid for throwing the ball. And he did spend a lot of time picking himself up off that turf there in Crowley on Saturday.
And he had 51 pass attempts in the game, so he was always dropping back and always just scrambling for his life.
Because they couldn't run the darn ball.
They could not run. To be clear, though, I did want to point out, if you look at the stats and you look at the QB hits, not kept accurately at all. They said there's like 1 or 2 Grandview got. They got way more than that on Shea Spencer in the first drive of the game. So just know stats do not tell the whole story. No,
I agree with you. And even the fourth quarter, I mean, there were just that a little bit more, and he'd get rid of the ball. And I mean, a fraction of a second later, his numbers were getting dusted up with a lot of green out there too. So 47 rushing yards on the day for Kaiser, 290 passing yards for Grandview, 206 rushing yards. However, 80 or 87, depending upon who's statting the game, go to Dalton Van Pelt there at the end of the first half. 144 passing yards for Jackson Waring. Really quickly, a run through. Waring with 144 passing yards, the 1 touchdown pass. No picks, 21 rushing yards. Dalton Van Pelt, 144 rushing yards, a touchdown, 2 catches as well. Offensive MVP of the game. Cory Phillips with the 1 catch. It was a 40-yard touchdown. Corey Wood, 3 for 3 field goals, 45, 41, 32. Missed an extra point, but that was not a mishandled snap. He simply kicked that into the backside of the deep snapper.
It was a line drive.
Yeah, that just went awry. And fortunately for him, it was the extra point, not one of the field goals. Yeah. Kellen Moore with 8 tackles to lead the team for Grandview. For Kaiser, Shea Spencer, 28 of 50 passing, 290 passing yards. The touchdown, no picks, 4 carries for 18 yards. Jaden Miller, 9 carries, only 21 yards rushing. And, you all were talking about they couldn't run the ball, and that was key. Rico Portia, 9 catches, 114 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. Dallas D'Souza, 9 catches, 102 yards receiving, a pair of 100-yard receivers on the day, and still could put up only 16 points and 1 touchdown. Again, Grandview's defense was big. Dorian Hall, 3 of 4 field goals, 26, 36, and 37. The final one was the longest one. Eli Bertrand and Malik Raz with 7 tackles apiece to lead the team. Kedrick Burley with 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks for the Seahawks, but just not enough there. And so it ultimately winds up being Grandview at the end of the day. And, I just as we wrap that up before we get to the top 5 performances, then overview of the game. But now, what do you take away from it? And I'll go to you first, James. What do you take away from it? Because you mentioned it yesterday or 2 days. I don't know. It's been, how long have we been doing all this stuff now? We had a fun dinner on Friday night, and then the game and all day long Saturday, and some of us have been in traffic. I feel like I'm still in a little bit of traffic with all that. And then, listen, Vince, if you were only 45 minutes in security at DFW, God bless you, because we've been there longer than that. Anyway, James, you were talking about the fact that there was a lot of veteran leadership on both these teams. And, of course, 2 senior quarterbacks, that have been with their programs almost since the Clinton administration. And, we have this. What do we take away from this win now to look to 26?
Well, to me, the biggest thing to take away is to look at this coaching. I mean, I know we're talking about players here and the veteran leadership, but this was the culmination of both Coach Russ for Kaiser, Coach Peterson for Grandview. This was the game. This was the one that would submit their legacies, right? Coach Peterson wins. He is large in charge, and Grandview's back to where they were. Coach Russ wins. You go, okay, second year, he gets the championship. These veterans, and John Argo, obviously, on the defensive side for Grandview. It's so many guys just at the end of, this is their last game. Filer, I believe this is his last season. So, we're at the end, and you're going, okay, who's going to actually put together the complete game? And overall, I mean, obviously Grandview did. Coach Peterson did a great job. Obviously, that fourth quarter was a lot of tough calls to make, a lot of difficult decisions. But overall, both these teams have to load up now for next year. I mean, it is an empty nest for both those programs.
Cory, we mentioned it briefly yesterday on Midwest Sports Saturday, to go back even to the forum that we had in August. And you were a little concerned about how Kaiser might have to reload on defense for 2025. Are those concerns there for 2026 as well?
Honestly, I haven't looked, and a lot of it going into 2025 wasn't as much. You had seniors that you lost, but that 2025 defense coming over from 2024 was absolutely shot through with transfers out. Mm-hmm. And that was a big question point for me, is not only did you lose some seniors, you lost a ton of transfers. And I've haven't gone through my entire postseason stuff yet to know where those guys are going. But I mean, you've got to think that after 4 years of making it to national championship games, only guys who redshirted have been on a Kaiser squad that hasn't made the national championship game, and that's a little wild.
Wow.
That really is. By the way, Michael, I didn't get to shout out to you tonight. Michael Brooks, who is from West Palm Beach, Florida, whose grandson played on 3 of those championship games, Didn't play this year. Wyatt graduated last year. Then with that in mind, Doug, you look at that, and I know there's still time. Cory's mentioning that there's still time to think about what might happen because of, who's going to transfer out, what openings are going to be where, Division I, Division II, who even knows. Take away from this and what portends for the future for Grandview or both these teams.
It's an endless cycle, and the transfer portal and NIL dollars have absolutely ruined college football, and that's just the way it is. But you got to play with what you get dealt, and so these guys, folks want to go to these schools that are doing that. So they're going to recover, and they're going to get folks that are in there, and they're going to continue to build. Kaiser hasn't made it 4 straight years because they're losing and not regrouping out of it. That's why they're able to be so successful. They've got a great plan in place for building these teams year in and year out. And Grandview wins it back to back. And look, all you've got to do, I think, is go on a visit, because if a trip to Grandview was as exciting as when those 2 Grandview buses made it in and the fans were there and the cheering, it's just, I mean, why would you not want to go there? So they can lose all they want to. They're going to get just as many dudes that are in there to play. So they're going to be fine with it. Can the rest of the other 94 teams keep up?
Yeah, it'll be up to 95. There'll be 96 total in 2026. So can those other 95 teams keep? That is a very good question, Vince. You know, I say this tongue in cheek just a bit, so bear with me on this just a bit. It's been really easy to pick Grandview, and I know that as long as you've been coming on and doing the forum with us, it's been, you know, kind of a Grandview thing, because I know you have ties. It was pretty easy, I would imagine, last year, even easier to pick Grandview going into this year. I felt like, because I felt like they could repeat. They had a lot of things in place. Can you do it again for a third year? Just thinking about it right now. I mean, every sight unseen, would you head into August right now and say, yeah, I'm going to pick Grandview again?
Sight unseen, that's difficult, because you saw those guys. You saw those coaches. You saw the connections, the bonds. Those coaches aren't going anywhere. They genuinely love each other and the players. That is a family. Now, Kaiser, I don't know. We interacted. I got to know coaches, a few of the players. I didn't get quite that sense. There's a lot of talent on Kaiser's roster. There's a lot of youth on Kaiser's roster, and they still made it. They were still undefeated, still made it back to the championship game. But I think there's going to be some coaches that are going to be in line for head coaching jobs off that staff. For as qualified as the guys on Grandview's staff are for the next step for head coaching jobs, I don't see those guys going anywhere. I really don't. And there's also a youth movement that is pushing up through that program. The heir apparent to Jackson Waring is a guy named Jack Jepson, who just happens to be the son of the quarterbacks coach at Grandview, who, you know, his dad played at Cal Poly as a quarterback, and that connection I coached with his grandfather 30 years ago. But those guys aren't going anywhere, and I think right now we just need to put odds on who Grandview is going to play in next year's championship game. Again, we met those guys, we interacted with them. That is a championship mentality that comes up from within. The whole gauntlet pregame, the buses, the family atmosphere, the mascot, the team mascot, they all made that drive down, and they will drive anywhere to support that team. And when you're a college kid and you get that environment, I mean, the coaches sing happy birthday to the players. That's what kind of a family environment it is. That makes a big difference. The story that, you know, my old boss, Kevin Twait, and that's that whole coaching tree, said about something that I did, you know, on a lark 30 years ago that he still remembered. It's stuff like that makes you feel important, that you're content, you're happy. Who knows how many Jackson Warings are out there that are going to be transferring to Grandview next year as a result of that kind of attention.
You know, I think there's a likely possibility, because they know that the original has expended his eligibility. So there's an opportunity now. I think there's going to be competition, Vince. I think there are some folks there. I think Jepson may have a little competition in there. Just dropping that out there really quickly. So
6'5" with the rocket arm, it's tough to beat.
Hey, we've seen, and if Hinchman 21, and he'll watch this later on, he's not here live, but Hinchman 21 will produce numbers for quarterbacks that are coming through the system. He was spot on with Jarrett Wilson to start the season this year with all of his numbers on that. So I think there's a lot of competition. I would also even go back. I'm going to drop this one on there. Dort. How about Dort? When you get Noah Strickfaden, who earned the job over Colton Cruz, came in, played fantastic. Cruz comes back at the end of the year, his senior year, He didn't transfer out. Great story about him, by the way, on the Dort website. And he goes through, finishes out the season. Dort makes it into the playoffs, gets the huge win over Morningside to make it on through and take the GPAC championship. So I think there's a lot of talent in there. I will continue to say something, set it in a top 10 list at the start of the year, that I believe that in the NAIA football is college football in its purest form. We've been saying that for a while here on the channel, and we're going to continue to say that. So, Vince, I know your time is limited. So before we let you go, and I don't know how long you stay, you're welcome to stay as long as you want to, but let's drop this one on here. Top 5 performances. There was only one game to choose from, guys. And I think a lot of these numbers do speak a little bit for themselves. Offensive MVP on the day, the not 5'11" and yet 6 foot tall Dalton Van Pelt.
That was the greatest line of all in
I'm
that
telling you.
postgame
Oh my
interview.
gosh, was it ever?
He was not happy that they announced him at 5'11", but that wasn't the only thing that Anyway, Jackson. His name is Jackson Filer.
Not Flyer.
Not Flyer, as a matter of fact. And
That's right.
Jackson Filer, who was the defensive MVP, he had one of the top 5 performances as well. Cory Wood, who is responsible 3 for 3 on field goal attempts for the day, 9 points for the Vikings. They win by 6, and that was off the leg of Cory Wood, who had some big kicks in this game. Rico Portia scored the only touchdown, had the only receiving touchdown of the day, one of 2 100-yard receivers for Kaiser, 9 catches against that Grandview defense. So that was a big day. And Shea Spencer, wow. I mean, it was a rough go for Spencer, and he still put up 290 against a Grandview defense. Now, granted, here's the thing. How many times did we use the phrase over the weekend, bend, don't break?
Yep.
And I've talked about it for Kaiser a number of times, but give that to Grandview. They gave up 290 yards through the air, but did not give up more than 1 touchdown. And so I think that that was what was huge on the day for that. So anyway, just something
one
to keep
thing
in mind.
that opened it up for Portia and D'Souza is that they shut Smiley down. You didn't hear much from Edwards at all in that game.
No, you did not. Well, you have to pick your battles, Doug.
That's
right.
And
so they did. And there were so many great receivers for Spencer to find. They couldn't keep all of them down, but they did limit it to two big ones on the day.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's see. I wanted to. I'll tell you what. I want to get to news, but let's go really quickly then to the Bet the Barn segment. I won't throw the graphic up there, but I will do this. We did have a couple of winners on the day for those who were betting the barn, and James, Vince, I don't think you or Cory have been able to bet the barn with us this year, but that's our segment where we take up the slack where the Las Vegas lets the NAIA down, and we give you something to bet on. Our winners this week, Tool Envy and Leo Vitt, winners getting 2 out of 3 right. It was a tough weekend. Yeah, Robert, you and I both, we got at least 1, I think, on the day. So Bet the Barn segment, Grandview, Jackson Waring. Would he go over or under 99.5 rushing yards? Oh, my goodness, he wasn't even close. Jackson Waring, which, by the way, not Waring, Waring. Something else just in case you happen to be in Funky Town, USA. Jackson Waring. Jackson Waring had 21 rushing yards, and there was only one person who said Waring would have 20 or under on that one, and that was Leo. So Leo did get that one right. Also, then another Bet the Barn, Shea Spencer. He was responsible for 5 touchdowns in the semifinal. Would he be responsible over under 2.5? Over under 2.5, and of course that's the under because he had the 1 touchdown thrown. And I got the under on that one. Toolenby got the under on that one as well. Everyone else said over on that one. And then finally, just pure prop bet. Who scores the first touchdown, Grandview or Kaiser? Now, Doug was he was really, really going specific on that. Said it would be Edwards in particular, and it'd be a punt return. Doug, I think you got a little too specific.
I have no Barnes left. I'm out of Barnes.
I have no Barnes left on that one. It was wound up being Grandview getting the first touchdown. Not the first score, the first touchdown, which Grandview had the first score too as well. And Leo and Matt and Tool Envy all got that one right. So Leo and Tool Envy are winners for the weekend in our Bet the Barn segment. Vince, because I respect you so much and I have such high regard for you, I know that you have some family things to take care of, or are you going to stick around? You have family things.
It depends. Is it going to be stuff that'll be over my head, like a lot of the content? Because if it is, I'm going to just save face bow out. But
I'm going to let you dip on this one. I don't think any of it's over your head, Vince, but I'll let you dip on it. But before you go, tell us, number one, where you're going to put the third Grandview tattoo, and number two, give us a Christmas farewell.
A Christmas fair. Okay, so third tattoo. I haven't decided yet whether it's going to be visible or invisible. We'll see. That remains to be seen. I'll let you know. But no, in terms of, I really enjoyed everything about this weekend, except for the travel wasn't that bad, but I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. We had a great time. I felt like the NAIA really got this right. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Gosh, let's keep it out of the gutter. But,
it's too late.
Yeah. The NAIA got it right because it allowed it, obviously it was a warm weather city. It worked out really well. Even if it was a little cool, that's fine. But it allowed us to get together and really bring the game and bring coverage of the game and events surrounding the game to all these nice people, to Henchman 21 or Freddy Krueger or Ted Kaczynski, whoever's in your community, and all these guys. But it really made it special, and we had a good time, and we co-hosted each other's shows, and really got a chance to do right by these teams. They were so happy. Did you see how happy they were? I mean, after the game, going up, and E.J. Peterson put his kid down, and there were people there when we were doing those interviews, and just like we're so locked in and so appreciative of the coverage. And Coach Davila with Kaiser told me repeatedly, thank you for spotlighting our kids, and that really felt good because I felt like we did right by them. And it was, pretty unbiased. I mean, we kid and everything, but we paid a lot of attention to each of those teams and spotlighted all the positive. We stayed away from any possible negatives, which there wasn't any that I could tell. But it was just it was a great time. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
I absolutely agree. There weren't even any turnovers. I mean, there were no negatives.
Joey, I got to say this. The only thing that didn't have a good time to me that I can see was your skin. You got a little bit of sun. I felt bad. I wanted to bring a hat to you down there, but
it happens on some of the. But listen, I felt it when I went home, but it wasn't as bad as some of those games in August. The trip to Waxahachie this year was that I wasn't ready to go back on the air on Sunday. That was
you got to wear a hat.
All right.
And it was so nice meeting Doug Gann. Doug was a true professional, great guy. You really raised the bar even on with our shows and just did a great job. So
Vince, that means I'll tell you somebody that was not a fan, or maybe they were. You said all the positivity. I don't know if you saw the video that I posted on X a little bit earlier. I got trash talked by Victor the Viking after the game. So he gave me a little bit of this.
He
was fun to watch. He was absolutely fun to watch.
He was great. The fans, you almost looked like you're in. I don't know if I get in trouble for saying this. It almost looked like a Nebraska game with all the and the overalls and it just looked like, man, this is just Midwest football.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some Iowa Big Ten folks that don't want to be compared to Nebraska, but we'll leave that up to them.
I get it. Yes. The Grandview, I may not be welcome in that state at all, but I love those folks. They did a great job, and they brought it. The dance-offs that they had when the music played was phenomenal.
Vince, before we let you go, tell us where we can find you. Other than,
right here.
I mean, right here. You can find us right here on the Midwest Sports Net times.
No, I'm and I appreciate you putting our stuff out there. It means a lot. Well, on Twitter at X @Varsity Show, And then everywhere else, Instagram, Varsity Sports Show, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, it's all Varsity Sports Show. It's just X, and we're on every Saturday morning if you're in Arizona on AM 1060 from 9 to 11, and then the AM 1060 app that you can get from the App Store. If you're listening out of state, and we get some great guests and co-hosts and contributors like the gentleman in this chat as well. So some good stuff. But and YouTube Varsity Sports, I don't know, we've got like 10 of them because we do a lot of games simultaneously, so we have multiple channels. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I love working with you guys and the community that you built up, Joey. And the platform and everything that Cory does and James. James, I found, is a real guru behind the camera as well. Just a true professional that made us all sound good yesterday while we were broadcasting. That's difficult to do. So to be doing two things at once. So anyway, appreciated you guys. I am happy to be home. So
I'm happy that you're home, and I'm happy you're home safe. And like James said, we're glad we're not finding you in your local TSA line at the moment. Before you go, he really does have about 7 or 8 YouTube channels. He's not kidding. You just look up Varsity Sports Show, and you're going to get a lot of them. But he reaches so many people, and I'll say this before we leave. He is a blessing to so many up-and-coming college kids who want to be in sports media and who want to grow their craft, and they want to learn. They want to get opportunity. Vince, I don't know why I keep calling you James tonight. Vince.
That's the whole Italian thing.
That could be it. That could be it.
Yeah.
Vince gives the students an opportunity and gives them a chance to do something. And I really appreciate so much you doing that. So Merry Christmas to you, to your family, Vince. We appreciate you and look forward to the next time that we get to have you not only here on the channel, but get to see you face to face.
Yes, sir. Likewise, you guys. Thanks again. And thanks to the community. You guys are great.
Vince, when LCU makes it out to Ottawa again, it's a surprise. I'm going to come see you.
All right. I look forward to it. We'll do it, man. Don't bring any gators.
I won't do that.
All right. We'll let Vince go for the night. And yes, the community, but this community it's a special community, and they do absolutely a whole lot. So we're very, very thankful for all of them. All right. Let's see here. I think, and there's his shout out to, where am I? Keep trying to post this. Matt, the attendance at Crowdy may have been better than at Villanova for the FCS semis, at least on the side opposite the camera. Well, you know what? The Kaiser fans, there weren't a whole lot there. At least not, relatively speaking, there were not a whole lot there. It seemed like it had the feel of a Grandview home field.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, your take on that?
What Kaiser did not have in numbers, they had in the sheer number of people unsatisfied with the refs.
You are
Absolutely
correct, Joe. It definitely felt like a home game for Grandview. They traveled really well from Iowa, a 12-hour drive, and that was apparently as well within the radius for the fans to get there.
Yeah, no kidding.
The mascot to get there. I just felt like it was almost like a party, like a family reunion, is what it kind of felt like over on their sideline. But they made a great atmosphere, and they little shouting back and forth at the Kaiser. That was all friendly, all in good nature. But yes, it was definitely a Grandview home game, and that's how it should be remembered.
And it all started, I think we all got up and went over and watched when they got off the bus, and that throng of fans was there, cheered them on, and they form a little gauntlet for them to walk through. And these guys just got down to business, and they made it feel like a home game. So hats off to that Viking crowd that really brought it. I'm not saying the Kaiser folks didn't, but I'm telling you, Grandview was there, and they were well represented. And if the camera would have been on that side, you would have seen it was about 2-1.
Oh, easily.
I would say more than that.
I would say it's more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking Jarrett Wilson type, touchdown to interception ratio, but still, it was pretty big. It was pretty big. And now I'm looking at this now, guys. I hadn't noticed. Of course, one of these. This is Studio B. Studio A is right up here. One of these days, we're going to get Studio A, but with this white brick background. Man, guys, I'm looking kind of red.
Rusty and dusty, man. Jeez.
I am looking red. Wow. Didn't realize that. All right. Anyway, okay. Let's get one more thing in there really quickly, and that is this. And some of you all may have takes on this. I have a couple of things I want to hit along these lines. Last thing tonight before we close out, and we wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Coaching vacancies, and we're going to break some news here tonight, although it's not really breaking it necessarily time-wise, but I'm going to tell you why we're breaking it, okay? 11 now spots have come open. In case you didn't know this, it was 10 when we talked on Thursday. That changed. It's now 11 first-time coaches that will be here. And we were talking about it, guys, over the break or over this past weekend. A new head coach was named on Monday. One head coach was named on Tuesday. 2 head coaches were named on Thursday. And of those, let's see, Avila named Ed Warrener on Monday, and we talked about the fact he has a ton of experience, way ton of experience there. Missouri Baptist, new head coach there, and Mark Lillibridge. St. Thomas said Coach Reichel's going to go, and then later in that morning said, oh, by the way, we already have his successor, Drew Davis, who's stepping in from working with the quarterbacks. He was in his 4th season last year. And then Peru State, Sean Wilkerson also stepped up, and he was named the head coach at Peru State. Those 4 names came about. We already knew that Callaway was going to be the head coach at Waldorf. What we didn't know, working in journalism, let me just throw it out like this, and you guys are all old enough to know, you've been around long enough to know about the Friday afternoon dump when it comes to news. This happens in politics a lot. Now, we're not here to talk about politics by any stretch of the imagination, but lots of times in politics, if there's news they didn't want you to know about in the 80s, 90s, even in 2000s, before the 24/7 news cycle and all that it is, they would take whatever news was there and drop it out Friday, generally at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so no one had time to deal with it over the weekend until Monday morning. Simpson University posted on Friday, the Friday before the national championship game, that, oh, by the way, Coach Sean Daniel has resigned, and he's not going to be the coach anymore here, and they have elevated the wide receiver tight end coach Trevor Utter, who played at the University of Montana. There's a Big Sky connection there, won a national championship with the Grizzlies back in 1995. So we are breaking news here on the show that there is a new head coach at Simpson. I said a lot, I just said a lot. Anyone have anything
and they
about
went to
that?
the wide receivers coach to promote to head coach. Was he also the OC?
I didn't see that. I think Coach Daniel had the OC. I think he did. I think he was OC as well. I think he was the head opportunity, and I think he took the play calling. So I think that Utter was straight up wide receivers and tight ends.
Looks like it. Yeah. Interesting.
I was going to say, you may want to
see that. You don't see that often that the non-OC or DC gets promoted within to the head coaching job. So that's interesting.
Well, Cory, what's your take on some of these names? Are you familiar with any of them, and do you have a direction with any of them? We were kind of just tossing around the idea that, hey, they dropped a lot of names on us pretty quickly.
They really did. I mean, it felt like it was Oprah at Christmas time. You get a coach. You get a coach. Everyone gets a coach. The only one who hasn't, I think, got a coach yet, and it feels like, is Langston, who I feel like I'm just waiting on that Langston name to drop.
There's still 5. There's still 5 openings out there. But, yeah, Langston's one of those. I'm surprised that one hasn't been filled as well. I agree.
It is surprising. It's surprising, but it's not shocking that Simpson's making a move. A lot of these new football programs, especially if you're not making a splash quickly, they tend to chew through coaches at a pretty rapid rate. You've seen it at Thomas already. You've seen it with Judson. You've seen it with Madonna. It's unfortunately it's a bit of a grinder until you figure out and get your footing a little bit. Unfortunately, I do appreciate what St. Thomas did. However, with and they're not kicking Coach Reichel to the curb. I mean, he's just going to be the athletic director, which that's not enough work on its own, obviously, to add being the head football coach. on top of it. But you've got your guy that's going to be there. That's going to continue that Bobcat dominance. And I think that's a really nice move. That was just hilarious. It was within an hour of us posting. It was an hour later. It was hilarious.
Coach Reichel's gone. Oh, hey, Coach Davis is here. All right.
It's like you couldn't have made those two announcements at the same time.
They wanted to let one kind of simmer just a little bit. Doug, I know that you may not be familiar with some of these names. I was familiar with one of them, but some of these names you may not be familiar with. Is there anything that stands out to you? I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about this because I have one more name I want to drop.
No, I don't. The Langston one is certainly one that we'll keep an eye on with them being in the Sooner, just to see the shape of what's going on. But I love this time of year. I mean, immediately I was talking with LCU's head coach on the drive back from Texas, and we're talking about, hey, the recruiting and the portal and the exit interviews and all of these guys. And I could only imagine if you were trying to put a coach in place right now, too, how difficult that is.
And the good thing for the NAI is that signing day is still a little ways off.
You still have time. That's correct.
You have all of that portal stuff. I realize there's a transfer market, but there's a whole lot of things that you don't have to have that window right now. I want to throw another name out, guys, and I don't think you all have heard me. You may or may not have heard me say this. I want you to remember this name and recognize, I know we talk a lot of NAI football here. I'm going to go up an affiliation just for a moment. Coach Waugh stepped out at Southeastern. Oh, okay. Cory, Arizona Christian's still open. Eastern Oregon's still open. Langston's still open. Southeastern is still open. And hang on, there's one more.
Rocky, isn't it?
Rocky's still open. Yeah, Rocky Mountain's still open. Thank you. So Coach Waugh stepped out at Southeastern. I had mentioned William Henry, defensive coordinator there. What they've done there is fantastic. News from the week also is the Cliff Harris Award for the NAI. Thomas Ibrahim, defensive lineman, stud, won the Cliff Harris Award, Southeastern boy. Well, William Henry's been his coach. I thought if he wanted a head coaching position, he might take it. Turns out this week, he took the defensive coordinator position at Arkansas Monticello. Now, the Boll Weevils have been right there in the middle of the GAC. I mean, you've got Harding, who played for the national title this year.
Repeat that mascot for us just one more time.
Boll Weevils. Arkansas mascots are great. But, the Boll Weevils. So they're right there in the middle of their own conference. He's going to play for Gary Goff, I believe, if I've got his name right, who took the head coaching position at Monticello a couple of weeks ago. He was a former coach at Valdosta State, former coach at Tiffin, former coach before he went to Monticello at McNeese State for 3 years, D1 McNeese State. William Henry is taking the DC position there. All I want to say is just remember those names because I've never thought about anything happening football-wise in southeastern Arkansas, and I really think something is brewing there. So I just want to go on record, shortest day of the year, December 21st, 2025. Just remember those names. And Coach Henry left to take another DC position instead of a head coaching position because I think he sees something there. It's your NAI D2 news moment. I just thought I'd throw that one out there for you. All right. Well, that pregnant pause will make me go on into our last opportunity here. We have a lot of folks in the community, and okay, who was it? Robert? Let's see. Robert mentioned something a little bit earlier. I didn't think I'd get enough. It went back there far enough. You were talking about the play calling, and let me see if I can read that properly.
Put your glasses on.
I know they're in my bag. Oh, Lord.
Cory, stop making us
that explains
bad, man.
the back. All right.
Oh. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, going,
did you see that?
No.
Yes, I absolutely
playing
did.
trombone with
like
the screen.
For you, Joey?
I would like you to read it for me, Cory. Please do, because I'm struggling here.
You guys probably already talked about this, but Kaiser's offensive play calling at the 2-minute mark was a little confusing to me. They were running play action deep throws over the middle of the field, and that's dumb IMO.
All right. Valid point. We didn't talk about that. Does anyone have a comment on that? I want to interrupt anyone if you have something to say about that.
The last 2 minutes of the game took way too flippin' long.
Yes.
I was sitting there by the Gatorade coolers at the 2-minute warning, thinking, "All right, this is going to go down. We're just going to get nice little 2-minute. It'll be fine." I sat over there waiting on that Gatorade for what felt like 30 minutes.
You had enough time to go to Walmart, get you a Gatorade, bring it back.
You could have in that time. Honestly, I'm not going to gripe too much about Kaiser's play calling there, because what they did ended up being effective enough to result in them having a shot at the end zone with a second left. There's really, I don't know that you could have done much more in the last 2 minutes, even if you saved another 30 seconds. You would have been in the same situation. You might have gotten closer, but Grandview's so good in the red zone that a shot outside the red zone has just as good of an opportunity to hit.
Yeah,
Do you think
go ahead, Doug.
Do you think it made any difference if they were going the other end zone with the wind? I know the answer to it myself. I don't think, but if they're
Yeah.
not throwing into the wind, because I think it kind of died a little bit, but with the wind might have worked.
Yeah. Look, every touchdown, every point, every single last point was scored in that north end zone. So if Kaiser's going into the north end zone in the fourth quarter, there's a decent possibility Kaiser comes away with it.
Well, until the final field goal.
The field goal was in.
Field goal
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
Here's my take on that, Robert, and that's why I went in and posted that other. I could read it well enough. Thanks, guys. My eyes adjusted, so I could read it well enough to get that other comment in there. I agree with you, Cory. You said every point counts. I thought every second counted as well. And the quick hitters to the sidelines, they weren't there. There were a lot more throws to the middle. And I felt like that they gave up 5, 7, 10 seconds, that if you get that and you get the heroic onside kick that they did, maybe 2 plays instead of 1. Do you get it the second time? Do you take a shorter first play and then get it out of bounds and then take one more a little bit closer down there where it's not a Hail Mary into the wind? So, yeah, I was a little confused by that myself. I don't want to take away from it because I don't know that, they didn't ask me to call those plays. But, yeah, from that perspective, I was curious.
Okay, I guess I'll be the dissenting opinion here. I think so. To just summarize, I think Cory's argument, what Kaiser would say is, "Hey, we did what we had to do to get the Hail Mary at the very end." But that whole 2-point or the field goal and the converted onside kick, that is 1 in a million these days.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's 6 seconds left to get that both done, and to get a field goal and an onside kick recovered in 5 seconds is heroic. But Grandview was just shutting down so much. Like, it was difficult.
Correct.
However, if you get a first down, the clock does stop for them to move the chains, which is what they were banking on. Kaiser said, well, we're having a hard time getting the ball downfield. Maybe the wind did make a factor trying to get to the out of bounds. Robert Whaley won a trillion. I honestly, even mathematically, that sounds crazy. You might be right. 5 seconds is microscopic to get a field goal in and two incredible special teams plays. But yeah, was the wind affecting those quick outs to get out of bounds? Maybe Grandview jumps on it, but I will say, I think there was some opportunities it did feel a little bit. It just felt, but I don't know. It felt like Grandview was shutting everything down, so they had to do what they had to do. But yes, first downs, you move down the field. I think they make some different play calls. I think they have more than 6 seconds for a field goal. I think they've got 26 seconds, and they can get a touchdown there and go get that the onside kick, and then you're kicking them. I mean, you're still kicking a 40. Independent, you don't know. We're imagining here, right? But maybe you're only kicking a 30-yard field goal to win it, and that's reasonable.
By the way, Matt throws out the fact that didn't have a lot of experience in that situation. 12-0 coming in, they did not need an onside kick this year at all. Kaiser,
no, but I will say,
I'm sure they practiced it, but they had
what they
no
had to
need.
do.
They
got it done.
They executed in the one time they needed an onside kick, that they executed it as brilliantly as any team ever has, is a lot to be said.
Look, while we're talking about almost the angle that we were at from the, I guess the right side end zone when that play was up, and we've got it. The Grandview guys go up and knock it down. There's a Kaiser receiver that was standing there. That if it's knocked up a little bit, he's got an opportunity to catch it and get in, which would have made for an amazing story on there. It didn't happen, but if you look back at that video where the receiver was positioned and the way the ball gets knocked back into him, man, it was close.
Yeah, and they're taught that now. They're taught that from all those years, I'm sure, of watching those top 10 moments on ESPN where, they tip it around and somebody catches it, or Colorado back in 1994, or,
Right.
things like that. Yeah, they're taught to knock them down, and it's a good thing they did if you're a Grandview fan, definitely. I know we could go on this one a lot more, but we hit the hour mark, which surprises me, and that means Cory may turn into a pumpkin before long because he's out there Eastern Standard Time. So I want to make good use of his time and say thank you to everyone watching tonight. Now, programming note really quickly as we start to wrap this up, and I want to give everyone an opportunity to plug their own channel, but I will say that we will not be doing college football this week on Christmas night.
That tracks.
It does.
That's
Thank
fair.
you. I
Where's the
appreciate
commitment,
that.
Joey, man?
I'm just bail on everybody at first opportunity. But next Sunday night, we will be back on college football this week, and we will be doing college football this week throughout the year. That'll start back Sunday, and then January. I can't say that we're going to do 2 nights a week, but we just may do that. I think there's enough going on. Also, there are going to be some more coaches that are going to be coming on with us live, not just on the summit, but that will be on. And so I wanted to make sure you know that too. This should be a lot of fun, so keep that in mind. There are 2 more The Summit episodes that are out there. One of them is episode 500. Got to visit with a young man who not only played for Oklahoma Panhandle State University, but is the law enforcement officer in Goodwill, Oklahoma, in no man's land, and a man of God, too, and Aaron Vinson. So check that out, episode 500. We also got to visit with the Friends men's basketball coach, Phil McClintock, a little bit earlier, and the Falcons are 10-2, and they're rolling along. So, and I will tell you one other, and I'm going to tease this one to see if you guys will watch it. There is a very prominent name in NAIA football that we've talked about over and over this year, an athlete who is supposed to be on the summit with me either Monday or Tuesday. So I don't want to jinx it, but I think it's going to happen. So we'll have a few more athletes on as well in upcoming episodes of the summit. And Doug's going to be spending a little bit more time on the channel here too. So keep that in mind. That is ahead. So Doug, with that leading in, let me give you a chance to plug what you do in 446 Sports.
Look, we cover a lot of high school sports here in the Pelican State. We're all over the place. Matter of fact, we'll be up near Shreveport tomorrow night doing basketball. But the big thing, football's not done for us yet on 446 Sports. So on December 30th, the Gridiron USA Football All-American Bowl that has players in it from Texas and Arkansas and Mississippi, mainly Louisiana. We've had some from Canada come in, California have come in and all that. That is on December 30th. There are 2 games, one at 11 o'clock and one at 3 o'clock that we've called games in Orange Beach. We've called it here. We've called it down in Baton Rouge. This one is home in Pineville on the campus of LCU, and delighted to do that. So you'll see a lot of the great stars of Louisiana football on December 30th at 11, and then a separate group play at 3 o'clock. So it's a big day of football. But you can go anywhere. Check us out on YouTube at 446 Sports, everywhere. If you just type in 446 Sports, you'll find us on X and Instagram and Facebook and wherever it is, in YouTube and all of the above. But guys, it has been a tremendous pleasure. It was great to meet all of you here, and I appreciate the natural, quick, good-hearted ribbing you gave me as soon as I walked in, and I felt like one of the guys right away. And Joey, it's because of our relationship there, my friend, and looking forward to that. But just search 446 and you'll find us.
Absolutely. And he said he was everywhere. So just look up 446 Sports, and Doug Gann will make a personal appearance at your home.
That's right.
Sure okay, maybe I'm overselling it. I'm sorry.
Thank you, James. We just got James on board following us. There you go.
All right. By the way, listen, it was fun to get to visit with Jackson Waring. Have to tell you, you need to check that one out. That one definitely there. Cory, my friend, the first time to get to meet you face to face, and it was a privilege. We've been doing this stuff now. I want to say like 6 years, since back 2019. I think I could be wrong. I'll need to go back and check that out. I know since 2020, but I think since 2019 that we've been appearing on each other's channels, and it was a privilege to get to meet you face to face. Where do the people find you, and are you going to be on a little bit more?
Yeah, so we're kicking off our off-season content. Actually, taped the first interview last week, so that I don't have to worry about doing stuff during Christmas. So the interview with head coach James Miller will be up on YouTube.
Hey, hang on
And
just a second, James. Why are you not getting on him for not being committed? What is the deal? He's failing on everybody. He talks to Reinhardt's coach well in advance, and so what's that?
Well, he was prepared. He's scheduling his content, and he's wearing a really great Grandview T-shirt. So I think
this is my favorite Grandview T-shirt.
All right, didn't mean to interrupt, Cory. Go ahead. Talk about Coach Miller coming on.
Yep. So Coach Miller will be on. We'll be starting our off-season content with interviewing all of the or as many as will come on my show. Of the playoff coaches, and a couple of them that were right outside that I think might have a good shot in 26. I've been up for 18 hours, so I don't know exactly what's going on in my head at this point. But I am pretty much anywhere you want to be, except for maybe Blue Sky. I don't think I'm there yet, but Facebook, Twitter. We're about 300 followers shy on Instagram from hitting the 10,000 follower mark. So. Looking forward to that. That's going to be huge for us. Started the season around 8,000. Been big moves on Instagram. And obviously on the OG itself, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days. I'm cool with both names. We are there.
All right. Cory Thorpe, NAIA Football, James with the Champion Sports Network, and you guys do a ton of stuff. Based in Waxahachie, but man, you guys do a lot.
Yeah, we cover all the NAIA, pretty much as the NAIA as we can. We focus mostly on football and basketball, but we did our first foray into women's volleyball a couple weeks ago, talking about the NAIA tournament there, which is similar to football, but a little different. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But our newest thing is we're working to build a way for people to follow more of the NAIA in an easier fashion. So we built this new product. You can go to scores.championsports.network in your browser. If you go right now, you can see all the scores that happened today. Yes, on Sunday, there were 6 games, believe it or not. I also didn't know that Palm Beach Atlantic, their mascot's the sailfish. So that's a pretty unique mascot. You bring in Arkansas Monticello. What was that again? What was theirs?
Okay, first off, if you're in Arkansas, you're not going to call it Monticello. You're going to say Monticello.
That's Monticello.
What it is. Monticello, and they are the Boll Weevils, and that's their men's basketball. That's their men's mascot. Their women's mascots, they are the Cotton Blossoms.
That's so sweet.
Love it. There are a number of schools even in the NAIA that have different mascots for men versus women. So that's there are a couple
of schools in Arkansas. Arkansas Tech, they're the Wonder Boys and the Golden Suns. So yeah.
Whoa. Look at Joey with all the mascot trivia here in this show.
Look, both of those are GAC schools. I know them really, really, really well. So that's another gig of mine. That's all right. Okay.
Oh no, hang on. Let me finish quick. I finished my spiel.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yes, go to scores.championsports.network. Keep up with scores, and then obviously Champion Sports Network on YouTube and on Twitter, X. Like Cory said, depends on what we're calling it today. You can just search Champion Sports Network on there, and you'll find us. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I apologize. You asked the question, James. You interrupted yourself on that one. That one's fine. Robert, really quickly, Robert said they do it the right way. The NAI, where they do it the right way, that is their slogan. Seems like a slight shot at the NCAA. Maybe just a little, but that's
the blue dot.
It's okay. Yeah, Cory, let me put this one up here. Cory's on it.
We don't reference them. It's like summoning Beetlejuice. They will sue the crap out of you. It's the blue dot.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm going to take a shot here at Doug, but, after what happened with Lane Kiffin, you don't get to tell the NAI they can't say the right way to play. I'm sorry. You just don't get to after all that drama that went down with Ole Miss and that. Nah. NAI, there was no question E.J. Peterson was coaching Grandview in this game. There was never a question, right? Like, NAI is
I'm
superior.
telling you, and when Ole Miss gets knocked out of it, look for a lot more drama and this thing to continue on forever, and that's just SEC football.
Yeah, well, I hear it just means more, but
But
here
to Grandview, football means everything. Let's not forget that.
That's right.
Are you listen? Grandview just won okay, I'm going to draw. I'm sorry, I have to. The two teams in the championship match or the championship game. Do you realize these were the soccer champions? Kaiser won women's soccer in NAI this year, and Grandview won men's soccer. Just throwing that out there. And if you haven't heard of Grandview's, if you have not heard of Grandview's wrestling team, oh my goodness, that is probably the most dominant program in college sports is Grandview Wrestling. But
that's why you're Joey. I mean, you have it all.
I'm trying, but we try to keep at least as long as you let me cover a little D2 along the way here on the channel, I'll only bring D2 up for NCAA, but that's all right. Okay, Cory, you have a bedtime. As long as you're not, you may actually be sleeping right now. We wouldn't know. On Cory's broadcast, a lot of time during the year this year, it was just a picture of him smiling. So this could be just that picture of Cory smiling right now, and he's already gone to bed.
That's why I have to move around.
There you go. Cory, James, Doug, and to Vince, the privilege and the honor, gentlemen, has been mine, and I'm very, very thankful that you took time to be on college football this week and to be here. To Michael, to Envy, to Leo. Let's see, who else? Robert was on here tonight. I'm trying to see. I hope I didn't miss him. Oh, I did miss somebody. Wow. All right. Let me see really quickly. And oh, Lord, and I don't have my glasses. No, this is so terrible. This is absolutely okay, here we go. William Green. Thank you so much, sir, for getting into the chat tonight. Got to visit and meet Willie Green, Jr., whose son plays. By the way, for Tabor, and he's a quarterback at Tabor, and it was a privilege to get to meet him on site there in Fort Worth. They live in Fort Worth, so it was a privilege. All you all in the community, thank you for being a part of it and making 2025 special. No show on Thursday night. We will join again on Sunday, and there will be a lot to talk about. And who knows, someone else may drop a new coach in there along the way, but we'll talk about some of these hires and a little bit more, and hopefully have a really special guest on the summit for number 501. It's a privilege, as always. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. I will let you all go. Merry Christmas. God bless you all. Have a great, great holiday this week, and we will see you all in about a week.